Yeshua, I just thank you for gathering us here. I thank you for this Shabbat. I thank you for the time, the seasons we're in. And Abba, just all the things you're doing, all the hardship that we've been going through, the loss that people have suffered, but also the healing, Yahweh. You are so faithful. So I thank you that you are a God of restoration. I thank you that you're a God of miracles and that you are a God of faithfulness that keeps your word. So thank you, Yeshua, for this day, for the time of delight together and all the preparation going into the fall feast days. I just pray that it would be an honor to you. In your name, Yeshua. Amen. Please have a seat. Okay. So going back, how many of you really thought about these words from last week about having the voice of a prophet in your life, of being that voice, of having that same kind of authority that God's given us? I think it was a powerful revelation to me to see that. I think that's one of the reasons Isaiah is so widely read at this time too. But the modern day prophets are the people of God that are saying, Hineni, I am here, or here am I. Send me, Lord. I will speak your words. I'll do the things. I will obey. How many of you in here does this bear witness with? Yeah, it should be. It should be everybody, for sure. These were some of the things we covered. I'm not going to go over each one. But the prophets are the ones that are turning people back to the hearts of God. They're giving the warnings. They're saying, come back to this, come back to the ancient ways, to the ways you know, the loving instruction of our God. They speak words of restoration, and in that it prepares our hearts for Yeshua. Prophecy, did I skip a verse? Or is that? Oh, yeah, that needs to, okay, I can go back to that. Jeez, that's, okay. Joel 2:28, though, says, so it will be afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Okay, this is something he was prophesying forward, that this would happen. This, to me, is one of those verses that says that we have that spirit of prophecy on us. Because he says that it would go forth from your sons and your daughters. We're either one or the other, right? Only two categories in here. Okay. Let's see here. So prophecy in and of itself does not bring the understanding of righteousness without the loving instruction of Yahweh. That is a very profound statement in my mind, because I think about it a lot. Prophecy is something that we often look to when we're afraid. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we want to know, Lord, what are you doing? What's going on? Is the world going to end tomorrow? Are we going to still have bread to eat and milk to drink and all the things? Or are we going to have to run to the hills? And I think that there's times that we can lean very far into looking for that word of knowledge, but we need to have the balance and the anchoring of the instruction of God in there too. Always the two witnesses from the Lord, spirit and truth. So being anchored in the instruction of Yahweh and then understanding the words of God from there. Luke 24 talks about, then he said to them, these are my words which I spoke to you. This is Yeshua speaking, while I was still with you. Everything written concerning me in the Torah of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled. Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures. Isn't that a really amazing scripture? A really amazing statement. I don't know how many times we've read these, and I'm sure I've read Luke many, many times. But to read it like this and to say, wow, you're talking about Jesus being in the Old Testament. And he opened their minds to understand the scriptures. How many times do you pray that when you're reading? Lord, open my mind. Reveal yourself to me as I'm reading this. And then suddenly there's an understanding that maybe wasn't there. Everything written concerning Jesus was in the OT. What? Yeshua was the OG and the OT. Okay? Let's remember that. He was there from the beginning. And before the beginning. And he's outside of space and time, so he just is. He just be. Okay? Sorry, let me go back for a minute here. So these scriptures, he said, everything I spoke to you while I was with you concerning me is from the Torah of Moses, from the prophets, and from the Psalms. And I'm going to show you a greater understanding of those in fulfilling them. But how many of us were taught that he started a new religion? That Jesus came and started Christianity. Okay, Jesus came and started a different thing. We know that he walked in Torah. We know that he kept these things, and his disciples did too. And that's what they preached and they did up until, very commonly, really, up until the 3rd century AD, and until a lot of that got twisted through Constantine. But that's not the focus. The point being, I'm going to show us where the word of the Lord came to us in the Old Testament. Hosea is where I'm going to stay in most, or focus on mostly today. Hosea was an interesting prophet. They all are interesting, though, honestly. Isaiah was very interesting last week, right? Hosea is also very interesting. He lived in the northern kingdom of Israel. He was around the same time as, he came a little bit before Isaiah, if I'm remembering correctly, about 200 years after it broke off from southern Judah, so after that split. He was called to speak on God's behalf to the people of Israel, whom he also called Ephraim or Jacob, and during the reign of one of Israel's worst kings, Jeroboam II. This king led the nation into chaos from which it never recovered. In the year 722 BC, the Assyrian Empire was destroyed, captured, and scattered. They destroyed, captured, and scattered Israel. Jeroboam II was a descendant of Jehu, or Yehu in Hebrew. Does anybody remember who King Jehu was? Okay, he was he came after the evil king of Ahab. Remember Jezebel and Ahab? And he was known for destroying the Baal, or Baal worship in Israel. It even says in 2 Kings there that he went in and got rid of all their idols. He was a godly king. There was one thing God held against him, though, because they all had something, right? This book, though, of Hosea is a collection of some 25 years' worth of his preaching and writing, almost all of which is in the form of poetry. The book has been designed to have 3 main sections consisting of chapters 1 to 3 that have a main theme, 4 to 11, and then 12 to 14. 4 to 11 is, that's the heavy stuff in the middle of all the bad things that are going to happen. And then 12 through 14 are the restoration. Some of it is still judgment, but restoration. So chapters 1 through 3 focus on Hosea being told to marry a promiscuous woman. We're often taught that it's a prostitute, but it actually, the word is an adulteress, or a woman of whoredom is another way that it's put. But if you look at it, it's zanah, which means someone who scatters their seed, who is not, she's promiscuous. So the interesting thing about that, which that honestly helps my understanding of the book a little bit more, the part about that, though, it's even more offensive because it wasn't even her profession. It was true. I know, I'm not trying to be crass, but you read some of the commentary on this, and it was that, no, that was her nature, was that she enjoyed it rather than it just being a means, to an end. So it's showing you that she enjoyed lawlessness because it's all a picture of who we are, right? The bride of Yeshua who has been unfaithful. Her name, I forgot to ask you. Anybody remember her name? It's Gomer. Who remembers Gomer Pyle? Yeah. Probably anyone under 20 maybe has no clue. I don't know. Oh, you do. You have good parents. Yeah, so her name actually translates to completion. So it was kind of an interesting understanding of that. Their children were also prophetically named. Yes, thank you, Dad. Jezreel, the first one was a son, and it meant God will sow. It alludes back to the Jezreel Valley, which became a curse and is now a blessing in Hosea. The Jezreel Valley is where Jehu slaughtered the remaining descendants of King Ahab. And he went very, very thorough in taking out every single relative of Ahab. And it was actually something, if you read in Hosea, where, I think it's Hosea, where God God says. That was a little bit overboard. Doesn't say it quite like that, but he crossed the line. It is here. Yahweh said to him, name him Jezreel, for in yet a little while I will visit the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and I will destroy the kingdom of the house of Israel. In that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. Then she conceived again, so Gomer conceived again and bore a daughter, and he said to him, name her Lo-Ruhamah, for no longer will I have compassion on the house of Israel, that I should ever pardon them. But on the house of Judah I will have compassion and deliver them by Yahweh, their God, yet not by bow, sword, or battle, nor by horses and horsemen. After she weaned Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and bore a son. Then he said, name him Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not yours. So it's a pretty depressing opening, right? Go marry a promiscuous woman, then you're going to have 3 kids, and they're all going to have depressing names. Well, Jezreel isn't depressing, but again, the way that God speaks to his people and the things that he asks of us, to sacrifice for him, are we willing? Are we willing to put those things on the line? The 3 children of Hosea and Gomer sum up Hosea's lifetime of prophecy. They are a picture of Yeshua's hope, the seed sown, the faithlessness that brings on the hard consequences of bondage, and the redemption of being called sons and daughters once again. Remember, Lo-Ami is not my people, but then later on he says, you are my people. So Hosea 2, 15 through 23 talks about punishing her for the days of the Baalim, to whom she would burn incense. This is talking about the wife, adorning herself with her rings and jewelry, going after her lovers. But me she forgot. It is a declaration of Yahweh. So we know that this is an allegory for, it was a very physical thing. So many of these examples throughout the Bible were done physically so that we could learn from those examples and not have to walk them out. How many of us actually learn by mentorship and not detour? That's good. Sometimes I've done both. I'm good at both. So hopefully we would want to learn from the wise people that went before us and kick down some lessons to us. But sometimes we choose to figure it out ourselves. And anyway, so this is a picture. It's an allusion to the unfaithful wife, which is Israel. It's the body of Christ. It's the bride of Messiah. We have been so unfaithful in all the things. And we're going to read through it and see. And I'm hoping that we get a perspective today when we look at this, that the mercy that was in God. Because I sometimes read this and go, golly, he's so hard, especially when we just read Deuteronomy 28 and those, 50-some verses of all the curses that come. But we look back and we realize there was so much mercy because it was given word after word, year after year of warning before they actually went into these things. So then, I myself will entice her. I will bring her into the wilderness and speak to her heart. How many of us, besides Paige, grew up walking in Torah and knowing the covenant of Torah? The last time I asked this, she's like, anyway, how many of us did, though, that truly can say, I understood. I did not grow up doing the pagan things. I understood the ways of God. Not many of us can say that. Yes, Kyla. Sorry, that's right. Kyla, my kids too, actually. You're not alone. Anyway, that's a powerful statement, but that shows that we are in exile because we have grown up knowing the ways of America, the ways of the world, not the ways of God. And we are no different than Gomer. We are just like Hosea's wife, Gomer. Don't think of Gomer Pyle. But the cool thing is that God says, I'm going to speak to her heart and bring you back. How many of you have felt the Lord speak to your heart on these things? You heard the shofar call, and that's the Lord's voice calling you back. I'm getting ahead, but we're in that season where he is. It's a season coming into a harvest right now. It's a season where he's enticing the bride back to him and saying, be wholehearted for me. I will give her back her vineyards from there and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. Remember Achan? This is everything he's speaking, or he's alluding back to all the bad, evil, pagan things they did, and he's saying, I'm going to restore it back. She will respond there as in the days of her youth, as in the day she came up out of the land of Egypt. In that day, it is a declaration of Yahweh. You will proclaim, my husband, and never again call me my Baal. Then I will remove the names of the Baalim out of her mouth, no longer to be mentioned by their name. What are some, we know pagan names. We actually have holidays named after them, right? There you go, Ishtar. And we're not supposed to speak them. You did it first. Okay. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the flying creatures in the sky, and the creeping things on the ground even. I will break into pieces the bow and sword and warfare from the land, and I will cause them to lie down securely. We have not seen that yet, have we? No. There is a school of thought that these things have all been fulfilled, and that was for just a one and done. But that is not true of prophecy. It is not ever for once. Not usually, I'll say. It's usually for multiple times in different seasons. Generations, thank you. Then I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you to me with righteousness, justice, covenant loyalty, and compassion. I will betroth you to me with faithfulness, and you will know Yahweh. If you guys want to hear a good rendition of this, Matt sings this song beautifully. Just afterward, ask him to sing it for you, okay? He's not in here, so. Hosea 2, in verse 23, it says, oh, wait, did I miss something? Oh, yeah, no, we're good. Okay. So it will be in that day I will respond. It is a declaration of Yahweh. I will respond to the skies, and they will respond to the earth. Do we ever think about the language that's spoken in some of these things? The covenant is not just with the people. Do you realize this? The covenant is with the land, too. This is a big reason why we go to Israel. It's not just to see all the cool things there. It is to walk the land like Abraham walked and say, this is our territory. This is our land. Enemy, you can't have it. When I go, I'm praying to go on the Temple Mountain to say, this is God's, and we're claiming it back for God. That's why he sends ambassadors of the king, is for these things. Because if the people of the covenant won't do it, then he's going to send the Gentiles of the covenant to do it, which we're no longer Gentiles. But God's going to have it because he keeps covenant. And he's made covenant with the land, he's made covenant with the people, and he's made covenant through his Torah. So, children of the king, what does it truly look like to be a daughter or a son of the king? When we're talking about this, we're talking about ownership to a degree. Like we look at Hosea and Gomer, and he's just now talking about that covenant language between a husband and a wife, and she's broken covenant over and over, and he brings her back every time. But it's also the same thing of disowning our heritage, our parents, of disowning our inheritance of where it came from and rejecting it, like Esau rejected his birthright, didn't want it, didn't value it. Okay, this is the same thing. This whole thing is that same allusion to us pushing away what came from our father. Instead, we say we want our inheritance. We want what you have for us, Yahweh. But what it really looks like to be a son or a king, it means to be redeemed. It means to be bought for a price and to know the value of that redemption. Hosea had to go back at one point and buy his bride back, his wife back. I bought her for myself for 15 shekels of silver and an omer and a half of barley. So it's possible that she had sold herself into some slavery or that she was enslaved in some sort of arrangement, which is an amazing thing to think about because how many of us were enslaved to the things that we've walked in up to this? Yeah, and God's come back and he says, I am purchasing you and you're worth it. 15 shekels of silver, you read in a lot of, and they say that actually translated to 30 pieces of silver because half of it was for the barley and half of it was for the shekels. I don't know. But the 30 pieces of silver alludes to Judas, right, who betrayed Yeshua for 30 pieces of silver. Is he drawing your heart back to him right now? Because the king is in the field. How many of us are feeling him in a mightier way right now? I'm seeing it. And like in all the circles of, pastors I'm talking with and ministry leaders on my Zoom call this morning and others, they're seeing things that they haven't seen in a while. We're seeing people get healed that haven't been healed in a long, long time, that have been praying for healing for a long time. At the same time, there's loss happening. There's a lot of people that have gone through some tragic loss recently, that at least in the circles I know. And the sad thing to me in that, not the sad, it's devastating, it's sad, but I see that God is using those things to turn the hearts of the people to him too, because he'll use every opportunity he needs for that to break us, right? But this is the time that if we think about what the fall feast days are, the king is in the field. He's out there blowing his shofar. He's saying, come on, because normally the king is behind the walled city gates, right? He's kept up in the castle protected, or in the, wherever he lives back in the day. And instead, he's decided to walk out those city gates and to go and greet the people of the land and to say, come on. Yeah, we're going to have a wedding feast. Come on up. You're invited. Just make sure you have the right clothes, right? That's what we're doing right now, is we're exchanging our clothes of the old life for the bride clothes now. In everything we do. I know Dr. Aylwine talks about every commandment corresponds to a new piece of clothing on us, to a garment, a part of our garments, which is kind of a cool thought. It's a good picture. But Yom Teruah, Day of Trumpets, is coming up, and it's the king in the field saying, blowing the shofar for, bride, get ready. Go get your wedding gown. Get ready, okay? Lose those last 5 pounds to fit into it if you need to, whatever it is. Get it on. And then we know Yom Kippur is a picture of the wedding, and then we have Feast of Tabernacles, which is the honeymoon. So, and that's our time of rejoicing. It's exciting. Oops. So we have coming up, Katie's talked about this, announced this for a few weeks now. Repairing the breach came from one of the pastors that I closely work with, Pastor Jim Hale. He came one day to our pastors meeting, and we sat there, and it was in my spirit too. It was just cool because he said, I just see such a division. He was really speaking politically, but we're seeing it's just a root. It's not about politics. It's a root of division that's just in America right now. Some of that is God. Some of it, God has polarized people because it's no longer like the lukewarm and the gray area. You're seeing people really exposing themselves for who they are. And the worst part is people are not ashamed. The things they're showing their teeth on right now, they are not ashamed. Things that you should, some shame is good, and some things that people should be ashamed of, like willingly wanting to murder children, murder babies. So this event, though, is the heart of that was restoration. It was, there's been a lot of division and hurt and words of division spoken that we would like to repent and come and stand in the gap and intercede. He's gone up on the mountain, on the monument, and blown shofars. He's not in Torah, but he's blown shofars. And he's repented for the pagan things done in Mesa County. There's been a lot of prophetic prayer warriors that have done that too. I just figure you guys, I think you've done that, right? Pastor Mark and Katie have done that. But interceding on behalf of the generations and for those to come. And bringing that time of healing back. It's interesting, though, because as we talked about that this Thursday at our meeting, there's not a lot of leaders that want to get together on this. It's sad. But you know what I see in it is that, okay, the ones that will then, we're going to be a first fruit offering. We're the ones that are going to say, okay, then we're going to do this in a prophetic way and say, Lord, you bring the harvest after it. This is going to be the beginning of that healing, and you're going to bring the rest. And the date happens to be right before the year anniversary of Israel's, the war in Israel. So Hosea 4, 1-6 says, hear the word of Yahweh, children of Israel, for Yahweh has a dispute with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no covenant loyalty, and no knowledge of God in the land. So if you read through this, there's a lot of back and forth. It's peppered with hope and with a strong rebuke throughout. But hear the word. This is Shema. Listen and obey, children of Israel. Yahweh has a dispute. It actually translates, he has a case against us. Just like when the accuser brings something against us, sometimes God brings it against us. And he says, you've been guilty. You're walking in the wrong things. You don't have truth. There's no covenant loyalty. Isn't that interesting, that translation? And no knowledge of God in the land. Yeah. There's another part where it talks about, I think, I'm trying to remember, in Hosea 5, I don't have it up here. It literally talks about Ephraim being half-baked. Okay, that can mean a lot of things, but if you think about a loaf of bread, that you bring it out too early and it's half-baked, so it's gummy, it's not done. It's missing. What is it missing? What is Ephraim missing? We've known, it's missing maturity. It's missing half the Bible usually. Okay, Ephraim is known for walking in the Spirit, knowing Jesus, knowing all the New Testament, but really not having a clue about Torah and walking in the truth of the whole Bible. Ephraim is half-baked. They don't have the whole. And that's part of what God is saying. I'm bringing you back to your roots. That's another thing I'm seeing right now. God's taking us back to the root of things so that he can root them out. Not so we have to keep seeing the same enemy over and over. Curse, deceive, murder, steal, commit adultery. They practice violence, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land will mourn, and everyone dwelling in it will languish along with the beasts of the field and the flying creatures of the sky. Even the fish of the sea will be removed. Yet let no one dispute and let no one argue. Your people are like a priest who makes quarrels. Have you, those of you that have gone to Israel, I think I've mentioned this before, have you ever had, there's an intensity there. There is an intensity of being in the land. Like it's, if you are not in a good place with God, if you are not in right order with the Lord, it's, in a lot of ways, it'll spit you right out. It brings out every bit of chaos and disorder that's in your spirit when you're there. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just that heaviness of the Lord, that deep, deep heaviness of God. I think it's the land crying out. I think it's the blood of the people, of the covenant. I think it's everything that he's made covenant with there, that he's saying, if you're not in alignment with this, then all of these things are going to serve as a witness against you and to get you back into alignment with me. So let no one dispute, let no one argue. Your people are like a priesthood who makes quarrels. So he's speaking, he's bringing judgment to the leadership first here. Responsibility starts with the leaders, the priests and the prophets. It's a powerful thought to think that our actions have an impact on the land. You will stumble by day, also a prophet will stumble with you by night. And when I destroy your mother, the harlot, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Since you rejected knowledge, so it's not just not knowing, it's that you rejected it. These are one of the things we pray at Yom Kippur, is that forgive us for rejecting Torah. I will also reject you from being my priests. Since you forgot the Torah of your God, just so I will forget your children. Because he makes the covenant with our generations too. It's just like in Deuteronomy, what we just read. If you will not listen to the voice of Yahweh your God to take care to do all his commandments and statutes that I'm commanding you today, all these curses will come on you and overtake you. Cursed will you be in the city, and cursed will you be in the field. Cursed will be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed will be the fruit of your womb, the produce of your soil, the increase of your herd, and the young of your flock. Cursed will you be when you come in, and cursed will you be when you go out. Yahweh will send on you cursing, confusion, and frustration in every undertaking of your hand that you will do. Has anyone ever felt like that? You could not succeed at anything you do. Yeah, you can't get ahead. You're in debt all the time. You don't have enough money for whatever, the needs, the basic needs. It's like everything you do, or just frustrated or not understanding what you're supposed to be doing in life. All these things, these are a curse. These are things to look at. There's a reason God marks them, and I think it is in Deuteronomy where it says that these will serve as a sign and a wonder on your children. When you see your children walking in these things, they're a sign to you that you messed up somewhere, and you need to go back to that point and repent. Is it crazy that our disobedience to Yahweh's covenant would affect the land, prosperity, our fertility, etc.? We can sit here and compare ourselves and look at, people that don't even know the Lord and they prosper, and you go, okay, well, what about them? You know what? God's promises are true. God allows, there is a level of benevolence that extends. It rains on the just and the unjust. It extends to everyone. So there are people that can succeed that don't know the Lord. But their judgment comes to the house of God first. So he's concerned with your heart. So God will discipline you because he loves you, right? Just like your parents did, because they love us. Oh, it's just blank. Okay. Ezekiel came before Hosea. I can't even remember now. But he came with some of the same, they all did. All the prophets had a similar thing. But Ezekiel spoke before they had gone into captivity. The word of the Lord, Yeshua, came to him too. It starts out, the word of the Lord came to me. Do we know who the word is? It's Yeshua. So again, going back to Luke where it says that in the old, they spoke about me. How weird is it to think that they had maybe a vague concept of who Yeshua was, but they never got to see him. They only hoped forward, right? They spoke about what was to come through him. They only had a vague concept of who Yeshua was. But what faith to walk in something with that kind of hope, to cling to that picture, to know there was going to be a Savior to the world. A suffering servant, though, really. So the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel as well. What's really neat about this is that perhaps because of Ezekiel's prophetic words, Theodor Herzl in the late 1800s wrote A Jewish State, an attempt at a modern solution of the Jewish question. He encouraged the restoration of the Jewish state. What's interesting about him is that he was not particularly a religious man. He actually had been a proponent that we just need to assimilate us Jews. That'll cut down on anti-Semitism if we would just assimilate. Well, guess what? It didn't work because people didn't want to assimilate with the Jews. And he saw the amount of anti-Semitism that's just there. It's just a part of it. It's like the land spitting him out the opposite way and saying, get back to where you're supposed to go. So in that, he began to look at, this was a question posed to the world. What do we do with the Jews? And obviously he was Jewish, but he's like, what should we do? But he started really exploring these things. He later became known as the father of the Zionist movement and was chiefly responsible for turning Zionism into a political project, though he died decades before that project would come to fruition. And then later, Eliezer ben Yehuda proposed and then promoted the return to the language of Hebrew. Because there was such a scattering, and in so many ways, Israel was very tribal still. They didn't all identify the same. You had Yiddish was spoken, and that was a mixture of like European languages and Hebrew. So for them to propose to go back to Hebrew was like all of a sudden everyone in America is going to speak Spanish. Okay, wait, erase, because there's a lot of people that speak Spanish in America. All of a sudden, everyone in America is going to speak like, there it is, Swahili, thank you. Yeah, and there was a lot of people that went against that. That was divinely inspired, because everything that God said to Hosea was that I would restore everything back to the original. Hebrew being one of those things. The restoration of all things. It's talked about in Acts 3:21 and in Isaiah 43. Do not remember former things nor consider things of the past. Here I am doing a new thing. Now it is springing up. Do you not know about it? I will surely make a way in the desert, rivers in the wasteland. The field animals honor me, the jackals and the ostriches, because picture Israel right now, okay? We know Mark Twain went in like 1867 and he's like, oh gosh, this is a desolate wasteland. Nobody would want to ever live here. Everything's dust and dirt and swamps. And here you have scripture in Isaiah saying that God's going to turn it back into rivers in the wilderness, to give drink to my chosen people, the people I formed for myself, so they might declare my praise. And it is such a miracle when you do see all the things. I mean, I talked about it a few weeks ago. They invented drip irrigation out of necessity, right? They invented a lot of cool things, but particularly solar energy too. They've done a lot of things with solar energy, and it's because it's renewable energy. I feel like my slides got really out of order. This is bizarre. Yeah. Okay. Well, going back, I'm just going to move with it, but going back to the concept of this faithfulness, what God was forming in Hosea and Gomer and in us is that idea of faithfulness. It's fidelity. It's saying, I am loyal to you. This is my spouse, and I choose. I want to be here. If we can think about that through the week when we're going through hard things, how many of us rail at God? How many of us truly get angry or just feel like, God, you abandoned me. I don't even know who you are. Those are areas of our faithlessness where we may not always have, he may not always do the things that we think he's going to do. And our brains instantly, like so quickly, they go to, oh God, he's forgotten me. Oh God, he doesn't care. Oh God, he's not right there for me. It's sometimes, like I've said, I keep saying it over and over, but sometimes he's quiet. And that's to test our hearts, to show us what's in our hearts. Do you still have areas of infidelity? Choosing to love when we don't feel it. Do you know that when we choose to walk in it, even, I'm not feeling Sabbath today. Yeah, I'm not feeling oneg. I don't want to make a meal. I'm not feeling, and we choose not to do it. That's not love. You are defeated. Choosing to love even when you don't feel it. I'm going to Sabbath. Kids, we're going to Sabbath because this is what we do. This is our commitment to our God. This is my covenant relationship with God. Trust and loyalty is one of those things, and it comes through action. It's not just, I love you. I am going to just be the best wife to you, just so you know, okay? It's action involved. You have to do the things, okay? I do things. I bring my husband in. I make dinner. That's all I do. I'm just kidding. I can't think of any other things, though. You do the things that a loving wife or son or daughter or husband would do to show that you do care and that you are loyal and that you do trust. I forsake all others. I'm committed. And it's ongoing support. It's continued support. Trumpeting, the things that, like how many of us speak out praise reports? What has God done for you this week? That's continuing support for our God. Yes, I'm suffering. Yes, I went through a hard thing. But you know what God did? What I've seen him do, and looking for those victories in the week. Those are the things that keep our hearts and our minds wholly and singly focused on God. Thank you. 500 years before Assyria invaded the northern kingdom of Israel, the warnings began. That's longer than Noah had. If you think about it, 500 years. America's only like 280 or 90 something years old. I don't know exactly. Do the math, tell me. Okay. It's not 500 years. I know it's like not even 300 yet. So that's crazy to think about. But this was prophet after prophet in every generation because of God's mercy and love. He loves to bestow his mercy on his people. There's not one part of them that ever wanted to see them destroyed. He allows the consequences, though, because it brings us back to him. What is it? 248. Okay, I was close. I was off by 50 years. Hosea 14, I just want to go through some of the last part here. Oh, actually, I totally missed it. Sorry. That part about being destroyed because we reject knowledge, that word is dath, or doth, actually, cunning. It can be translated as cunning. We can be destroyed because we reject cunning or understanding or a sharp word, because we reject insight into things. Isn't that an interesting way to think about it? But Mossad, if you guys know who that is, it's Israelis, I want to say secret, special services, special forces. Yeah, they're like CIA. Their motto, though, is out of Psalm 24:6, but it literally translates, by clever tactics or cunning, you shall wage war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. Isn't that amazing? I just thought that, yeah, that is really cool. But it comes to me right out of the concept of Isaiah, that we are destroyed because we reject wise counselors around us. We reject the wisdom of those who went before us. The last part of Hosea here in chapter 14, I have my notes here. I think we're just going to read through. It's only 10 verses. Samaria, a little bit of history. Samaria, we know that there was Judah in the southern kingdom, and the capital of Judah was Jerusalem. Samaria was the northern kingdom. Sorry. And it was regularly called Samaria was the capital of Israel. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. Punchline, there it is. Samaria will bear her guilt, for she has rebelled against her God. They will fall by the sword, their infants dashed to pieces, their pregnant women ripped open. Return, O Israel, to Yahweh your God, for you have stumbled in your iniquity. It's horrific and sad to say, but this has happened in the last war, in the war that's ongoing. Take words with you and return to Yahweh. Say to him, take away all lawlessness, iniquity, and accept what is good, so we may repay with offerings of our lips. Ephraim, in this case, is a feared nation, but the people have polluted themselves. Because I think it says, I'm in the wrong spot. Assyria will not save us. We will not ride on horses, and we will never again say, our God, to the work of our hands. For with you, orphans find mercy. We will no longer say, we got our wealth from my own hands or the other people or our captors, because they even thought, well, maybe if we could make peace or compromise with our captors, we would be okay. Things will be okay. Do you know that hasn't worked in the history of never? Like, seriously. And yet we still keep, just like we think, well, if we just did communism right, it'll work this time. It's the same concept now. If we could just make a really, really good agreement with the terrorists, with Hamas, with these people, then it'll work out. They don't want that. This is not a Western culture. This is not. They don't think like us. They don't negotiate. They don't speak in those terms. Because, and this is a very Hebrew thought, is they work through action. Almost all even the nouns are action words. There's so many thoughts in the way that Middle Easterners think and do is through action. So you can say all these things and talk is cheap, but your words or your actions are the things that actually matter. Land for peace. Nope. No. It has not worked, and the part that's so egregious is that it wasn't even ours to give away. It's God's land, and it was wrong, and it's continued to be given away. And I wish I would have put a map up there, because it was actually Winston Churchill who divided it further in the Balfour Declaration, or right after that. He literally, and that's where you get now, Israel's that little sliver, and everything over here to, let's say, Israel, and everything over here to the east now is called Transjordan, and it used to be called Israel, and now it's called Transjordan, and that's part of the Western Bank, or the West Bank. Yeah, Transjordan. What did I say? Yeah, Transjordan. So, because the king of Jordan, I can't remember the name now. I want to say Abdullah, but I might be wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Still ownership over that territory. They still have claim to that land because other people negotiated and gave it away. Anyway, I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger will turn away from him. I will be like dew for Israel. He will blossom like a lily and thrust out his roots like Lebanon. Let's see here. Let me go back to verse 3 real quick. Take words with you and return to Adonai. It's interesting, though. It says to take words with you. Yom Kippur is one of those areas where we confess with our words. God he does want to hear the words too. He wants us to speak them out. He does want us to acknowledge, because it's an acknowledgement. Yes. His tender shoots will spread out. His beauty will be like an olive tree, and his fragrance will be like Lebanon. Those dwelling in his shadow will return. They will grow grain and bud like a vine. His renown will be like the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim, what more are idols to me? I have responded and observed him. I will be like a luxuriant cypress tree. From me will be found your fruit. How do we know what the seed is? By the good fruit coming forth from the plant. So my fruit is going to be that of Messiah's, because I am walking in covenant, and I have repented with my lips. I've come back to the ancient ways. I have decided I don't want to be in exile anymore. I'm going to walk in the ways that God's enticing and calling me back to. Wow. Okay, I'm done. I lost it. Jerry, you have to go back to my last slide for me. Thank you. It's gone. It's so, if you look at different versions, I'm using Tree of Life version. It doesn't always line up. So, yeah, it says verses 1 through 9 there, but I think there's actually 10 verses in that. Yeah, there is. I think what really strikes me, and why I'm going into the prophets right now, though, I've never really delved deep into the prophets before, but the Lord has been stirring in my spirit about the prophets. Gosh, sorry. It's because of the season we're in. Because I see that God is speaking to his people, and he's calling us to a deep, close, intimate walk with him right now. And he's saying, prepare, and be in my zone right here. Just stay in my zone and be ready. And I think that's why it's so heavy in my spirit. And that's why I'm looking at these things and saying, Lord, you were speaking the same words back then. Everything that you talked about is happening right now. But the hope, and this should be a hopeful thing for us, is that we are going to be preserved. We are there. God is going to carry us. He's going to hold us. He's going to hold our hands. He's going to comfort us. We're going to be at peace. We will have perfect peace in our spirit. And that's the part we all need to know. I don't want anyone in here to be afraid. If you are watching the news and you're getting freaked out, then turn it off. Quit watching the news, okay? We'll get the news. Don't worry. It'll come down to us what we need to know. Jerry will tell us, okay? Just kidding. Someone will. We'll know, and then we'll know the things we need to know, just as Joseph knew for the kingdom of Egypt. He knew he had everything prepared like that because the Lord put it in him when he needed to know, and he saved an entire nation. So I think those are the things that are really being impressed upon my spirit. Pastor Jerry's going to preach next week. He's going to prepare us for the fall feast days, and then we're going to go into Yom Teruah. So ask the Lord what he's showing you right now, what he's doing. We'll just do comments in a minute. Okay. We're going to pray. We'll bless Yahweh for the meal. So, Yeshua, thank you again for the words. I thank you for just your hand on us today. I thank you for just marinating in our spirit the things you want us to glean from this, Yahweh. I just pray that none of us would take up fear, but we would take up faith. And I just thank you for the time together. In your name, Yeshua. Amen.